My father said, walking you down the aisle would be disrespectful to your stepmother, 2 weeks before my wedding. I was sitting in my childhood bedroom, looking at old photo albums when my father knocked on the door. I'd come over to pick up my grandmother's pearl necklace that I wanted to wear at my wedding. He sat down on the edge of my bed and told me he needed to talk to me about something important. I figured he was going to get emotional about his little girl getting married. Instead, he told me that he wouldn't be walking me down the aisle. He explained that my stepmother Diane felt it would be inappropriate for him to walk me when he'd already walked her daughter Kennedy down the aisle 3 years ago. I asked him how that made any sense. He said that Diane believed it would look like he was playing favorites if he did the same thing for me that he did for Kennedy. I reminded him that I was his actual biological daughter and that Kennedy was his stepdaughter of 8 years. He said that biology didn't determine family and that I needed to be more considerate of Diane's feelings. I asked him whose idea this really was. He admitted that Diane had brought it up, but that he agreed with her logic. I sat there trying to understand what I was hearing. My father had walked a woman's daughter from her first marriage down the aisle at her wedding, but refused to do the same for his own flesh and blood because it might upset that same woman. I asked him if he understood how backwards that sounded. He told me I was being selfish and that marriage was about compromise. I said I wasn't married to Diane, so I didn't need to compromise with her. He said that comment was exactly the kind of attitude that made Diane feel unwelcome in our family. I wanted to scream that Diane had made me feel unwelcome in my own family for the past 8 years, but I knew it wouldn't matter. My father had chosen his side a long time ago. I took my grandmother's pearls and left without saying goodbye. When I got home, I told my fiancé Nathan what happened. He was furious on my behalf and offered to talk to my father man to man. I told him not to bother because my father's mind was made up. Nathan asked who I wanted to walk me down the aisle instead. I said I'd walk myself before I gave my father the satisfaction of seeing me beg. The next 2 weeks were torture. Diane called me 3 times to explain that she hoped I understood her position and that she really did see me as family. I didn't answer. Kennedy texted me saying she'd heard what happened and that she thought her mom was being ridiculous, but that she didn't want to get involved. I didn't respond to her either. My father sent me an email that was clearly written by Diane saying that he loved me and that he hoped I would come to see this as an opportunity to show my independence as a modern woman. I deleted it without finishing. The day of my wedding arrived and I felt strangely calm. My mother had passed away when I was 12 and I'd always imagined my father being there for the big moments she couldn't attend. But I'd learned to stop expecting things from him years ago. The ceremony was held at a vineyard outside of town. Nathan's family filled one side of the aisle and my small collection of aunts and cousins and friends filled the other. My father and Diane and Kennedy sat in the second row because I'd asked my aunt to make sure they weren't in the front. When the music started, I walked down the aisle alone. I kept my head high and my eyes on Nathan, waiting for me at the altar. I didn't look at my father. I didn't need to. The ceremony was beautiful, and Nathan cried when he said his vows, which made me cry too. After we were pronounced husband and wife, we walked back down the aisle together, and everyone cheered. At the reception, my aunt gave a toast that made everyone laugh and then cry. Nathan's father gave a toast that welcomed me to their family with so much warmth that I almost lost it completely. Then it was time for the father-daughter dance. I'd removed it from the program weeks ago, but I hadn't told anyone except Nathan and the DJ. When the DJ announced that we'd be skipping to the bouquet talk.
To continue, tap the arrow in the bottom right corner and copy the link.
My grandmother refuses to let me eat anything given to me in a dream. I just found out the horrifying reason why. Every morning since I was 5 years old, my grandmother would sit at the edge of my bed and ask the same question. Did anyone offer you food in your dreams last night? If I said yes, she would grab my hands and make me describe exactly what was offered and who offered it. Then she would pray over me for 20 minutes straight. I thought she was superstitious. Island grandmothers have strange beliefs about everything. Don't sweep at night. Don't whistle indoors. Don't cut hair on certain days. The dream food rule seemed like another quirk I learned to live with. When I was 12, I had a vivid dream about my grandfather who died before I was born. He sat at a long wooden table covered with fruit and bread and honey. He smiled and pushed a plate of sliced mango toward me. Eat something, child. You look hungry. I reached for a piece and brought it to my lips. Right before I bit down, I woke up gasping with my grandmother shaking me violently. Her face was wet with tears. Did you eat it? Tell me you didn't eat it. I told her I woke just in time. She collapsed onto my bed sobbing and wouldn't let go for an hour. I demanded an explanation, but she said some things are better unknown until you're old enough to carry them. I'm 24 now. Last week, my grandmother had a stroke. Doctors said she might not survive the night. I found her barely conscious, but alert enough to recognize me. She grabbed my wrist with surprising strength. I need to tell you before I go. About the dreams. About all of it. What she told me changed everything I understood about my family. My grandmother grew up in a small village where everyone knew everyone. There was a woman named Cordelia at the edge of town. People called her the Dream Walker. She could enter other people's dreams and interact with them. Most considered it a gift, but Cordelia used it for darker purposes. If Cordelia wanted someone dead, she would visit their dreams disguised as a deceased loved one and offer them food. Something delicious. If they ate it, they would never wake up. Their body found the next morning cold and still. Doctors called it natural causes, but the village knew the truth. Cordelia had taken another one. My grandmother's sister was the first victim in our family. She was 16 and healthy. Before she died, she told my grandmother about a dream where their dead mother offered fresh bread warm from the oven. She couldn't resist taking a bite. 3 days later, my grandmother attended her funeral. Then her brother died the same way. Then her cousin. Then her best friend. All reported dreams about deceased loved ones offering food right before they passed. My grandmother discovered Cordelia targeted families who wronged her. My grandmother's father had refused to sell Cordelia land decades earlier. That refusal cost our family 4 lives. My grandmother confronted Cordelia directly. Cordelia smiled and said the debt wasn't paid yet. That night, my grandmother dreamed of her mother holding soup. She remembered her sister's story and refused to eat. She woke drenched in sweat with Cordelia's laughter echoing. Cordelia visited her dreams every every night for 3 years. Always different dead relatives. Always offering something delicious. My grandmother never ate. She learned to wake herself the moment food appeared. Eventually, Cordelia moved on, but made a promise. I'll come for your children, and their children after that. This family will feed me forever. Cordelia died 30 years ago, but her daughter inherited the gift, and her granddaughter after that. 3 generations of dream walkers hunting 3 generations of my family. My grandmother spent her life protecting us, teaching us the rules. The woman hunting us now is named Vesta, my grandmother whispered. Cordelia's granddaughter. She'll wait until I'm gone, then come for you harder than ever. She squeezed my hand. Promise you'll never eat anything in your dreams, no matter who offers it, no matter how real it feels. Promise me. I promised. She died 2 hours later. That night, I dreamed of my grandmother at a long table covered with food. She smiled and pushed a plate toward me. Eat something, child. You made it here. You must be hungry. I stared at her face, at her warm, familiar smile. Then I noticed her eyes were wrong, too bright, too hungry. I woke myself screaming. She's already here wearing my grandmother's face, and she'll visit me every single night for the rest of my life.
My brother's wife turned my whole family against me, and I owe her a thank you. My brother asked me to loan him $10,000 so his wife Molly could start a business. I can't afford that right now. He hung up without saying goodbye. Then my mom called after a family dinner, and her voice was shaking so bad I had to sit down. Molly told me what you said to her in the hallway. She said you grabbed her arm and told her she wasn't real family. I felt the room tilt. Mom, I never touched her. I never even talked to her alone that night. She went quiet for a long time. She had a bruise on her arm. Why would she lie? My own mother thought I was capable of hurting someone. I drove straight to my parents' house and banged on the door until my dad answered. He stood in the doorway with his arms crossed and looked at me like I was a stranger. Molly is lying. She made this up because I wouldn't give them money. He didn't blink. Molly has never lied about a single thing in 3 years. You're lucky she didn't call the police. I opened my mouth, but he stepped inside and slammed the door so hard the wreath fell onto the porch. I could hear him lock the deadbolt from the other side. I stood there staring at the door I had walked through my entire life, now locked against me. My brother sent every call straight to voicemail. My grandma texted saying Molly sent her a 3-page letter about all the times I had scared her, and that my brother told her not to believe anything I say. I pulled up Molly's number and typed out a message. Why are you doing this to me? She responded in seconds. Stay away from my family or I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are. I screenshot it and sent it to my brother. His reply came fast. Leave her alone. You're harassing her now. My birthday came and I woke up early because my dad had called me at 7 a.m. every year since I was 5. I sat on the edge of my bed watching my phone. 7:01, 7:02, 7:03, nothing. I sent a message to the family group chat thanking everyone for the birthday wishes. Nobody responded. That night I scrolled Instagram and saw Molly had posted a photo with my mom and grandma at a restaurant. The caption read, "Protecting the women in this family. Some people don't deserve second chances." My mom commented, "So proud."
I'm so glad my husband's family called our baby ugly. When my son Elliot was born, my husband made one thing clear. No photos of the baby online, no matter what. You know how crazy people are these days. Our child deserves privacy, he told me. And I honestly thought it was sweet. So I agreed we'd keep it intimate, just close family. So for a year, no one saw anything from us online. Everything was stored away on our phones or printed out in a little photo album, and I loved it until I found out the truth. 3 days before our son's first birthday party, I got an urgent text from my husband's sister that read, "Cancel the party." I stared at the message, feeling confused, and called her. "What's wrong? Is someone sick?" She immediately started bawling on the line, apologizing over and over while I stood there slowly getting more anxious. "I can't do this to you anymore," she stammered. Then she began spilling everything. Every awful secret my husband's family had hidden for an entire year. "Your husband, my brother, he made a group chat when little Elliot was born," she said. "He sent us photos of the baby, complaining about how ugly Elliot was." She paused, then sent me screenshots of the chat. My husband going on and on about how our baby had the face of a Teletubby. She explained how for the past year, her entire family had been laughing and saying awful things about me and my child, comparing him to creatures, making bets on if he'd ever grow out of it. And my husband had started it all. He'd been the most active participant, and now they were planning on going to the party just to laugh at my son in person. I was livid. My hands were shaking from how furious I was, how betrayed I felt. But then something else took over, something cold and clear. I told her the party was still happening, but asked her to stay home that day. "Trust me," I said, "this is one party you'll want to miss." I spent the next 3 days preparing. I set up cameras in every room, hiding them in places I knew no one would ever check. On the day of the party, I made sure everything was ready to record. Friends and family started showing up. Everyone brought gifts and smiled at me. They cooed over Elliot. "Wow, he's getting so big now. Look at those cheeks." Throughout the party, I played the perfect hostess, serving cake, giving them plenty of time to be alone with the baby. That night, after everyone left, I sat down and watched every second of the footage. The moment I turned away, my husband's family started. "He really is so unfortunate looking." "You mean he has her unfortunate features?"